The trailer for the new Celestial Guardians set just released, and it's clear just from first looks that the current meta is intentionally trying to be turned upside down. But how do you dethrone cards like Giratina, Darkrai, and Arceus? Let's take a look. Hello and welcome back to Tribit Council for a special installment of TCGPNN. Today, we are looking at everything new in the latest major expansion, Celestial Guardians. There's a lot of upcoming features and events that are coming out, and we'll get to those for sure. But I want to check out some of the cards that have been shown off in this latest trailer. Also, I want to get into some of the cards that I think are particularly important for battles, so we're gonna go in depth with those and also talk about the way that the meta will be absolutely destroyed and rebuilt by this update. First, some housekeeping. Celestial Guardians will release on the 30th of April, and it boasts over 200 new cards to be collected. It's also centered around the Alola region, which is from the Sun and Moon games, if you're familiar. You're hopefully more prepared pack hourglass-wise for this release than you were for Shining Revelry, as we were much more aware of this coming up. And also there is the ranked rewards that you'll be getting, and that should help boost your supplies if they're not already high from just preparing over the last month or so. Let's get out of this housekeeping stuff and right into talking about the cards. I've got them here on the screen in front of me, so if you catch me looking down, that's why. If it's cool with you, I'm just gonna run through everything really quick, show you all of the cards, and then after we can dive into the battle significance of specific cards that I've picked out from this early look at the set. First off, we've got a whole new line of starters, and just like the packs advertised, these are all from Gen 7, or the Alola region. We've also been given a sneak peek of their second evolution's art, though we don't have much information on their damage stats or anything like that. That would be kind of lower on the card. I'll continue on with other basic Pokemon that we've been shown. We've got Oricorio, Alolan Vulpix, and Alolan Meowth. Interestingly enough, we've been shown alternative arts for some of these cards. We appear to have a day and night version of some cards, presumably with day coming from the Solgaleo packs and the night cards coming from the Lunala packs. On one hand, it's cool to have some variety. Maybe you like Rowlet and you want to use it, but its daytime moveset is kind of bad and you're not really sure how that would work into your battle plan. And then you see the nighttime card and it's got a way better moveset in your opinion. Maybe that gives it a chance to be more viable. I don't know. On the other hand, I don't know how this is going to affect collecting. You know, are those 200 plus cards that I mentioned earlier really closer to 120 because we've got a bunch of cards that are mirrored of each other? Time will tell, I guess, but how do we feel about this? Let me know in the comments. We'll move right along to some beefier cards, though. We've got Solgaleo EX, Lunala EX, and Alolan Raichu EX. Now, Alolan Raichu has been shown to have a 2-star illustration rare variant, and while we are looking at pretty cards here, I'll lump in Alolan Marowak with these guys as well. Just seems like the best place for it to fit. I know I said I'm getting into battle stuff a little bit later in the video, but I do want to point out just for now that Lunala and Solgaleo are our first legendary EXs that are a 2-stage evolution, instead of just being a basic Pokemon that you can slap down on the field whenever you want. That might seem a little weird at first, but I think it actually makes a lot of sense with this set, and also along with some of the upcoming changes. Before we get into too many specifics on those changes, though, let's touch on some of these trainer cards. There's a bunch of new supporters in this release, the names of which I will leave you to pronounce. I've been burned by Pokemon pronunciations before. But pretty big change with this set is our first non-pack Pokemon immersive card. Normally we get an immersive art for each Pokemon on the front of the pack, but now we've got Lily. Sure, will there be 3 immersives for this upcoming set then? I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. It looks good for sure, but are we missing out on Solgaleo and Lunala now? Probably not, but I just think it's interesting. This is the first set where we've had more than just the advertised Pokemon that are on the front of these packs as the illustration rares. Last but not least, for the cards that we've been shown in this trailer, we've got some item cards. That's going to include Rotom decks, and prepare yourself for this, rare candy. I know lots of people are probably popping off about this right now, just seeing this card in the game. If you're not one of them, let's get into some of this battle meta stuff finally, and how it will be changing in this new set so that you can fully understand. This rare candy card has huge implications. Actually, most of these cards that I see are pretty blatant overcorrections for the Darkrai Arceus Giratina supremacy lately. There have been a few two-stage decks that have managed to leak through, but by far the most like consistent and prominent decks that I've seen in my ranked endeavors have been a combination of one of those 3 EX Pokemon. I have a feeling, just looking at how some of these cards are set up, that that's all going to end now, since these cards all seem to be geared at shutting those guys down. These are big claims, so why don't we get into talking about this rare candy card. It will allow you to jump from a basic Pokemon to a 2-stage evolution. For example, you could play a Charizard onto a Charmander and then skip having to use Charmeleon altogether. Now, this means a few things, really. One, it makes it so all 2 stages are way faster. It's providing a huge boost for the low energy cost 2 stages like Meowscarada, but then on top of that, it's also good for cards like Charizard. Even though the energy cost is high for that guy, you skip a whole turn's worth of evolving where you'd normally be vulnerable to premature death from like a Sabrina or a Cyrus, depending on how things were set up in the beginning. And you know, Charmander and Charmeleon obviously have a lot less health than Charizard, so that's a pretty vulnerable state to be in if you can just skip right past it. That's a pretty big up. The second big thing, though, is you no longer have to include 1 stages in your deck. Now that might sound a little weird. Why wouldn't I include a 1-stage card? It's good to just have it for insurance, but when you think about it, unless your 1-stage card is good for chip damage or something like that, you should just replace it outright for a rare candy. It'll get you to your 2-stage way faster. It's an item, not a supporter, so it won't hinder you from using other more important cards in 1 turn. And on top of all of that, it makes your Pokecoms way more efficient, because now instead of re-rolling and hoping that you don't get a 1-stage that you don't need when you're looking for a Charizard, you just skip right to being able to grab Charizard. You know, just betters your chances of getting what you want. Our third and final way that rare candy is going to change things up is deck building for 2-stage evolution decks is going to be way easier now. I know myself, I had some trouble a little while ago with not having the stage 1 evolution of one of the lines that I was looking for, and that prevents me from using the deck altogether. Now I've got to go back to the old packs, use my free packs for the day to open up and hope, cross my fingers, that I get the exact 1-stage card that I want. That's not a problem anymore. You can build these 2-stage decks with way less cards as long as you have the rare candy to supplement in wherever you need it. So 2-stage evolutions are stronger now. Pokecoms is more efficient, and deck building has shifted in a way that makes it a little bit easier to build the decks and possibly more reliable, efficient, however you want to think about it. That's a lot of features for one little rare candy card, but one last one that I should mention is you can't play it on your first turn or on a basic Pokemon that you just put into play. That's something to keep in mind. Even though it is a little bit faster, it's not necessarily to the point where, I should say, it's not as cheesy as it could be. I have a slight prediction that the newfound 2-stage love will boost the starters from these packs. In the past, we've seen great things from starters such as Charizard, Meowscarada, Infernape, and more recently Blastoise. These cards were already viable. They're making up some of the best decks that you can have right now without including some of the basic EX legendaries. So it seems like A3 is really just trying to take a big step away from it. It'll be interesting to see if it's an overstep. We haven't even gotten into cards like Lily, the immersive from this set, that heal a 2-stage Pokemon for 60 HP. I mean, what other cards will be hidden in this set that help out 2 stages that we don't know about? We'll put all the speculation on the 2-stage stuff aside for now. We can move on, but there's no rest for the anti-basic EX card campaign that seems to be going on, because if all of that 2-stage stuff wasn't enough, we're going to continue on with Alolan Raichu. Only time will tell if this card is overhyped or not, but this guy seems custom built to destroy the current meta. Its attack is colorless, which means he could feasibly be supplemented into any deck and be accelerated by everything from Dialga to Moltres to Manaphy, anybody, Pachirisu. They could all boost Alolan Raichu's energy. But what is this new attack? Is it any good? Are we funneling all this energy for no reason? No, you know, it's nothing major, just the very thing that made stuff like Gallade EX so prominent in the current meta. Similar to cards like Gallade EX and Alakazam, we've got an attack that's doing more damage for every energy that is stacked on the opposing Pokemon. The big difference is Alolan Raichu seems to be essentially just improving everything that Gallade EX and Alakazam do if you're considering it overall. Its base attack starts at 60, which admittedly is 10 damage less than Gallade EX. not a huge deal, but it's right on par with Alakazam. And then on top of that, it's got the fact that it's a one-stage evolution, the fact that its attack is colorless, and the fact that its damage is going up by 30 for each energy that the opponent has attached to them. That's a ton of damage. You outscale Gallade EX, no problem, even starting 10 damage less than him. Even with just 2 energy attached to the opposing Pokemon, you're doing 120 damage per hit, and that's with only 2 energy. There's a lot of Pokemon that stack up way more than that. So, you know, why don't we look at a quick list of cards, just for fun, and we'll see which cards Alolan Raichu will do really well against. Giratina, Articuno, Darkrai, Gyarados, Palkia, Blastoise, Charizard, Celebi, Dialga, Arceus. So this is a good amount of cards. It's a good amount of cards. Okay, now let me look at the list of cards that are in the top of the meta right now. Oh, wait, it's the same. It's the same list. So clearly this seems to be the flag of the revolution that the TCG Pocket makers are waving to let you know that we're not going to stand for Giratina and Darkrai to be at the top of the meta. Don't worry, we'll fix it, you guys. Just in case we needed one more straw to break the camel's back, Alolan Raichu is an electric type. And as I'm sure you're well aware if you're at all involved in the ranked space, there's a lot of strength in water type cards right now. There's a lot of supporters that help for them. You know, Manaphy helps to energy ramp people. Palkia, Articuno, Gyarados are all really strong heavy hitters. So Alolan Raichu being electric type and all of those Pokemon being weak to electric just adds that little bit of extra in case you needed it. Its only drawback is that it has a relatively low HP for an EX Pokemon. So if you let it get one shot, it'll cost you. Again, though, if we're comparing to past Pokemon that have had this kind of your energy equals your damage taken feature, Alakazam had less health than Alolan Raichu too. So really a definitive improvement on this attack concept, and it definitely seems like it's going to be throwing a definitive wrench into the current battle status quo. An honorable mention for this new set is Solgaleo EX. Sure, it's a 2-stage evolution, but we've already kind of gone over why that might not be a huge deal. It's beefy with 180 HP, it has a hard-hitting move that only costs 2 energy, and it has a great ability to boot. You can potentially say goodbye to cards like Leaf and X-Speed now because Solgaleo can just choose to switch in for free all by himself. Kind of sounds like a recipe for disaster. We'll see in time if it's Solgaleo's disaster or Solgaleo's opponent's disaster, but it's definitely one card that you should be on the lookout for in upcoming battles. I'll note at the end here that there are a lot of supporter cards from this set that are based on specific Pokemon. For that reason, I don't have too much to say on them right now. There's just too much we don't know yet. In the past, cards that have been focused on by these supporter cards have not been really great, at least not viable long-term in the meta. Time will tell if these supporters will suffer a similar fate, but I've yapped about battles and cards for way too long now. I think we're through all of that. I'm just going to go over a couple upcoming things to watch out for, and then we can all just get aboard the hype train and wait for A3. So first, we can expect some neat new Rowlet art from the shop in the form of a display board and a binder cover. Those are going to be available in the shop on May 1st, but even cooler, I think, than the new art, there is a promo drop event that is happening right at the same time as the new set, and it's a pretty big one. It's featuring an adorable new playmat, a Shaman coin, and a chance to get a full art Rayquaza EX card. I'll just give you a moment to look at it, bask in its glory. You can see that this card looks insane, and I know I promised not to get back into battle stuff, so I won't. But if I was going to, I would tell you that this thing looks really promising. It's basically an improvement on Wugtrio and Dragonite, possibly, as there's supporter cards that will help with colorless cards in general, and the fact that it's colorless means, again, you can slot it into any deck you want and it'll be viable. So some potentially good synergy coming from this Rayquaza EX card, definitely one you're going to want to look out for. I will cover all of the promo drop event stuff in our usual promo drop videos where we go over the best strategies and decks for the event together once it is upon us. But in anticipation of that and a Celestial Guardians pack opening video, I think I'm going to motion to end things here. All those opposed, you can click through to whet your appetite with a previous pack opening video, you know, build some anticipation for the upcoming one. And then all those in favor, you can just hit subscribe. That way, either way, you can catch us in the next one, and that way you don't miss out on future TCGPNNs or the promo drop event video. You're not going to want to miss it. But anyways, thanks for watching. See you guys later.